y'all, I'm Derek and welcome back to the YouTube movie review. So this next episode, and probably a couple of extras considering how many different forms of this title I saw online, was actually recommended by one of my old friends on Facebook, Doan. He's the guy who created the Bad Movie Friday Night logo. And he said, have you reviewed yet the nightmare that is the Witchouse? Needless to say, it's awful. I said, I have not. Consider on the list. Well, I found a few movies called Witchouse, or a variation of that theme. So I decided I'm just going to go down the list until I find the one he says. So this is the first one I found, and it's called Witchouse. And that's only one word, by the way, with one H to share between the two words. Good job. So it's only an hour and 12 minutes long, so let's see what we got. Okay, I'm getting a cold, and so there's a lot of things happening up here right now, and I'm laughing, and it feels like everybody's trying to get out, but I'm not letting them. Oh my God. So I'm guessing this isn't the one that my friend was talking about, because this was a Full Moon production, okay? I talked about Full Moon 2 years ago when I first started this channel, when I was talking about Empire Pictures. So Full Moon Productions is actually the direct descendant of Empire Pictures, one of my favorite companies from the 80s because of all the schlock horror they created. Charles Band created Full Moon after Empire went bankrupt, and he realized that he could actually make more films more cost effectively and quicker if he went for the direct-to-video market. In fact, I think the only movie that actually came out in theaters from Full Moon was Puppet Master, the original Puppet Master, and that movie was great. It's like an awesome movie. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. And they also had a guiding principle that all of their villains had to be supernatural in nature. That's why if you look at their catalog, they're full of ginger dead men, evil bongs, Puppet Master. They actually created an offshoot of Full Moon Productions specifically for slasher films. I can't remember the name of that, even though, if you can tell, I'm sort of a fanboy of this company, because they're actually the ones who started my love of schlock horror. I mean, they make so bad it's good movies on purpose, and they do it well, and I just love them. So this doesn't actually fall into the 3 rules that I put for this show at the beginning of this show, because it did actually come out on video before it came out on the internet. However, it came out on video back in the early aughts, back when VHS was still around, and I'm pretty sure you can't find it on video unless you do like a hard copy search on Amazon from a fourth-rate seller and all that. So since it's on the internet in an archival form, I'm going to let it slide. So the first thing that happens in this movie is a couple show up for a party at this house. And the first thing that comes into my mind is, oh my God, this is the house from Ghoulies, which is a movie from Empire Pictures back in the 80s. And all I'm thinking is, where's Mariska Hargitay? Because she's in that movie, haha. So they go in and you start thinking it's a Halloween party because of how the place looks. It's all cobwebby and all that. They look around and nobody's there, so they go down to the basement because white people love going down to basements for some reason. And so they're in the basement and they see a creepy looking altar with a pentagram on the floor, and of course the first thing they think to do is do the ugly bump. I don't understand. Oh my God, this is great. And of course, someone pops out of the shadows and beheads them. Cue the credits. And after the credits, everybody starts showing up for this party. And there's every college kid trope in this movie. There's the stoner guy, the rocker chick, the jock's girlfriend, the rich kid, the nerd, and while they're all talking, the host comes in, who's obviously the goth chick, and she explains that, oh, the party can get it going now. And finally, the last person to show up is the virgin. this girl who obviously is supposed to be the virgin trope, the goth girl, starts explaining why she's holding this party, while the jock and his girlfriend go upstairs to do the ugly bump, because why not? So the goth girl explains that this is a May Day celebration, and everybody in the group is like, I've heard of that, what is that? Isn't that big in witchcraft? Well, it used to be a celebration of the new year because it was the beginning of spring, and then it was co-opted during the Soviet Union by the Soviets in order to act as a form of Christmas because they banned all religious holidays. The virgin's supposed to be a history major, and she doesn't know this, but whatever. So all the people in the party, except the jock and his girlfriend who are doing the ugly bump upstairs, they sit on the ground around a pentagram holding hands while the goth chick explains all of this, okay? She has them close their eyes, and the rich kid all of a sudden has this vision of him being burned at the stake because the goth chick explains that the house belongs to her family, and they're a family of witches from Europe who came over here, and 300 years ago on this day, of course, was when the greatest witch of them all, Lilith, was burned at the stake. This is such a cliched script, you know exactly what's happening. Basically, the goth chick invited all these people here in order to get revenge on the people who killed her great many times removed aunt or whatever. But you know what? Sometimes cliches are good because they make you laugh, and this movie made me laugh because I'd literally seen everything done before. I'll save the rest of that diatribe for the technicals. The rich kid all of a sudden gets the vision and he wants to go home. So Elizabeth, the goth chick, says, okay, I'll go upstairs and get you a cab so everybody else can still party and all that. Well, so she goes upstairs but somehow ends up in the basement. I'll explain that later. And the nerd, the virgin, the stoner, and the rocker chick all go back to the living room just to sit around and party because it's literally like them just sitting around and drinking. That's it. The rich kid is just standing there going, Elizabeth, where's everybody? Elizabeth, where's the taxi? I want to go home. And instead of going upstairs where he heard the goth girl say the phone was, he decides to go down into the basement because white people do that for some reason. And he goes down there and he sees the goth chick sacrificing the two heads of the people she killed earlier into this cauldron, and out pops Lilith the witch in all of her demonic glory. Oh my god, it's great. So of course, he's the first to die in the new party. Meanwhile, upstairs, where the jock and his girlfriend have, completed, the girlfriend's taking a shower, and the jock gets possessed by Lilith. And then he goes off into the shower and possesses his girlfriend. So the nerd and the virgin have gone walking around trying to find the phone, and they end up in the library, and the nerd finds a book that has the names of everybody who was at the party in it, but from like 300 years ago. And that's when he puts together that everybody who was invited was related to a witch hunter back in the 300 years ago. Oh my god! Called it. So by this point, everybody is Scooby-Dooed, okay? They did the Let's Split Up gang. The stoner and the rocker chick are looking for the jock and his girlfriend, and the nerd and the virgin are headed to the door so they can just say GTFO. They get to the door and the door is locked, and they see the goth chick, and right behind her is Lilith the witch. So Lilith appears, scratches the virgin, and then the virgin and the nerd run off, and the goth chick is like, this is my house, it will not open until I get my revenge. The stoner and the rocker chick are upstairs, and they get confronted by Lilith. They literally get rid of by locking her in a closet. And then they run away. Well, the stoner guy is like, I gotta find the jock and his girlfriend, and then we can all leave. So rocker chick is like, fine, I'll go down to the foyer and I'll wait for you. At which point the stoner gets off to go to get the jock and the girlfriend, who kill him. So the nerd, the virgin, and the rocker chick all walk into a bar. No, they meet up and they're like, and the rocker chick is like, I'm not going anywhere without Tony, the stoner. At which point his head comes rolling down the hallway. So she's like, okay, let's try to find a new way out. Let's go to the attic. But instead of going to the attic, they end up in the basement because everything has to go down to the basement. I don't know why. And when they're there, the rocker chick gets possessed and starts attacking the nerd and the virgin. The nerd is keeping her at bay with this little cross around his neck. And then the virgin gets this silver plate and then just bounces all the magic beams, because the magic beam is a solid ray. And she just bounces it back towards the rocker chick, and the rocker chick disappears. The nerd and the virgin go upstairs, and the nerd gets this great idea. He notices that all the power cables are actually on the outside of the walls. The reason being is because since it's an old house, they couldn't bore into the walls to put in power. So he goes to a electric box, which is right there on the wall, and he turns it off. They hook the wire to the poker he had, and when Lilith shows up, puts the poker inside her, and then they turn on the power and she electrifies and goes, "Ah," and disappears. Well, the goth chick is like, well, I will still get my revenge. And finally we find out that the virgin is actually the descendant of this person that Lilith kidnapped 300 years ago, which led to the whole thing of her being burned alive. So it turns out that the virgin kills the goth girl and they can finally leave. The end. Yay! Everybody's dead. Yay! The technicals. Oh my god. The camera work is so great. I mean, not great as in good, but great as in great, because it's like, you could tell they didn't have a Steadicam. They were basically doing what I did. They have a tripod and a camera, and they hold the tripod and use that as Steadicam. It's a trick for low budget. Basically, if you hold the camera at a lower point and move it around, it stays more steady because it's a lower point of gravity. They do that a lot. There's a lot of moving of the camera. The acting, oh my god, this was everybody's first movie, you could tell. Such cut and paste acting, it was great. The music is so melodramatic and so synthetic. It's like this movie was made for the 80s but came out in the 90s and didn't get released until the 20s. And then there's the special effects, which is the best job Microsoft Paint could do at the time. These are the kind of movies I love. They really are. It was so cheesy, it was so bad, it just put a smile on my face while I was watching it. This was a cute way to spend an hour and 12 minutes, and I don't feel bad for watching it. The pacing was a bit slow, there was a lot of people just standing around, but everything else sort of made up for it, so I'm not angry. So that's my review of Witchouse. Have you seen this movie? If you have, leave me a little message down below. Or if you have any recommendations, as usual, please leave me a message. The next one I'm going to cover actually is a paid-for movie. You have to pay $1.99 for it, but you can still sort of get it. You can still get it without a subscription, so I'm going to go ahead and cover it. Well, thanks for stopping by, thanks for tuning in, and come back for more YouTube movie review.